Kosuanity era one radio empenyini say yensoma na motenten yesoma banyasafo era one radio yedin sem anumuaye ebre.
Hello, beautiful people of Ghana. This is Banahine Specialist Hospital. We are so excited to announce to our people Ghana that we are finally opened and we are accepting patients. At Banahine Specialist Hospital, our extraordinary physicians and nurses are here to provide a high-quality medical service to our extraordinary patients. Our services include primary care services, maternal, neonatal, and pediatric services. We also have an in-house pharmacy. We have x-ray and laboratory services available to you. Come to us for all your healthcare needs and you will be happy you did because we believe the health is wealth. Thank you and stay blessed.
Good evening, Era One Radio listeners. It is May 31st, 2022, the last day of May before we enter into the second half of the year. We are approaching June. And so tonight I'll continue with the Divine Connection. I'm your host, Charles Boison. And tonight, Pastor Cron is off. There was some technical glitch at work and he had to take care of this, so he couldn't join me tonight. So as usual, I'll fill in with the Being Intentional About Your Personal Growth series. Tonight, I'm looking at the law of the mirror. If you've been with me for a couple of, almost 4 weeks now, today is part 5 of that series. We've been looking at the book review, and the book I chose for the month of May was and is John Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. We are working on ourselves. Sometimes you need to take some time aside and work on yourself. As I said, we are approaching June, and I don't know how your goals are and how you are approaching them, how you are achieving your goals. But as we go into June, we have just another 6 months more of the year to end. And the question is, where are you getting to? Where did you start from, and where are you approaching your goals? Whatever you set for the beginning of the year, are you being an accomplished person? So to call in to assist in the show is 2402-802-633. And if you want to text, it's 5109310946. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, Radio Ghana, that's Modern Ghana Radio, and Radio Garden. Of course, you can reach us on all of these platforms. Well, before I get into my action, let me just remind you of where you are, and then we'll continue.
Kosuanity era one radio empenyini say yensoma na motenten yesoma banyasafo era one radio yedin sem anumuaye ebre.
All right, in case you join me, you are joining the Divine Connection show as I broadcast live from Facebook and YouTube, and also on Modern Ghana Radio. Last Thursday, Pastor Kron and I spent a chunk of our time, almost 30 minutes, dedicating our program to the 19 kids and two teachers who were gunned down exactly a week ago in Uvalde, Texas. That was a very solemn moment, and I understand today that a few funerals going on to bury these kids. I mean, that's very unfortunate. It really hurts to think about the situation, but what can we say if things are not going to change? All right, so you see that the massacre could have been prevented, as we said last week, if guns reforms were in place, or as alleged, if most of the cops who responded or rushed in defense of the defenseless kids and teachers, they could have prevented this thing. And as a graduate of public health, this says, and it proves to me that we are in a public health epidemic. Prevention, as they say, is better than cure or curative measures. And of course, I love what Canada is doing. Canada has started to do something that I think the US have, placed a blind eye on for some time. Canada has come out that, because of what is happening in the US, all this rampant shootings, killing here and there for the past 4 weeks, it's been crazy. I mean, we had the shooting in Buffalo, New York. And then after that, we thought things were going to calm down or come to an end. Just before we were even beginning to grieve, this Texas story also came up. And so Canada says, you know what, Justin Trudeau says, the Prime Minister says, I'm not going to sit down for this thing to come to my doorstep. I am going to do something. And so he has begun vehemently to pass laws that will mitigate against all these events. He's gone ahead to ban, assault rifles and weapons that could be used for such dangerous, killings. So he is taking the approach. And the question tonight is, what is the U.S. doing about it? Are politicians going to sit down and make some reforms that will save lives? And I am a first-hand witness of what guns can do. If it wasn't for a gunshot, my older brother Joe would have been alive by now. Way back in 2009 in a city called La Grange, Georgia, this 18-year-old boy walked into the store my brother worked, and without asking him a question or begging for anything or negotiating or anything, he just shot him, apparently to steal lottery tickets. And so when you talk about guns, I dread it, and we have to do something to stop it. It's all over the place, and we don't have to wait for it. If you haven't experienced it before, you don't have to wait for it to come near your doorsteps before you say, hey, let's do something about it. We have to do something now, and it's incumbent upon us to let our politicians know that, hey, this is not sitting well. Because if Canada has taken the approach that because of what is going on in the world, and especially US, we are going to take an approach. We are going to do something about it. By now, these things should stop. I don't know how many kids or how many adults have to die before we say, hey, enough is enough. I don't know when enough is going to be enough, but we have to do something, and we don't have to keep mute. We have to say something so that these things will come to an end. Lower them to the lowest step. Can't we go a whole year without shootings and stuff where kids and adults are losing their lives? I think we can do something about it. And so I pray that our leaders will do so. You and I will sound the trumpet call and let our people know that something needs to be done. All right, so tonight I'm continuing with my series, being intentional about your growth. And as I said, I'm using the book review, the book by Dr. John Maxwell, and that is the 15 invaluable laws of growth. And these are things that we are doing personally. We are I can't because sometimes you don't have to wait for somebody to come and dish you something. Start working on yourself, and when you work on yourself, you can work on your family, work on your community, you work in the state, and that is how we change the world. It begins with ourselves. So that is the series I'm doing in the absence of my panel joining me. All right, so let's see. All right, Dr. Ostus, I'm sure he's around. Let me take a quick music, and then we'll zoom into our study. All right, let's go.
Aden urefiana seo tumi manya eni about Aden wasua mani suwa fosunade Aden meba Aden bra eya useni da sosa eni da sonsa yo uwera eni da sonsa eya mensubi eni da sonsa eni da suwa eni da sonsa uwempendia owadio gitse eni da sonsa padia unse Eden krona mumbefra Monyenye mokra unse Eden ebedi ana yebenom Ana muni padia unse Eden krona mumbefra Okransina diane Nani padia sintumana Aden mi ba aden kra Na ya usani da suasa Okransina diane Nani padia sintumana Aden mi ba aden kra Na ya usani da suasa To a ready, my what did me? To a sidajum me ready. Eh, woo ready. Nani kumu and kuma in Pomoa. Now our bones and is a sewer. Now my would be binny. I then I was a man is to offer some day. I then me back, I then cry. I was sunny, that's what's
say oje wo for money any not in the name for how ne udaji nyina for to so no beyama if you say oje wo for money any not in so people when you say judging no beyama if you say oje wo for money any not for money Sepe besia manaeja any word sani kawakuma tu ye onyamie ni kuwo so reremu no maswa any word sani nani kunda the frochia densumi sepe besia manaeja amabriwatia dia kwawa obeya maoda osujani meni orewa nananya mini wasitremu ebrebe sama wayo warifo kawakuma tu yem obonie mensubiem ebrebe sama wanyabao mensubiem yamiani kuo mibeya maoda Zayo me pa me subiamo Kristoni kawakuma tu yamo
Welcome back on Era One Radio. We are broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube and also on Modern Ghana Radio. Tonight, I wish we wouldn't have to tell the relatives in Texas that they should hold their tears. But you and I know that those phrases, as much as we try to express our condolences, don't actually bring back the death. What we can do is going forward, if we can do something to prevent these incidents that happen around gunshots, if we can work on them so we don't have to tell anybody that our prayers and our thoughts are with you. As good as we may try to do this, like I said, it doesn't actually bring back the dead. Let us go on the preventive side. Let's prevent these things from taking place. then we can say we are developed and we are advanced. Because if the weapons that we manufacture are used for negative purpose and bad purpose, they don't mean anything. Inti enyimre sani awofo ne bi mo esi omba Uvalde, Texas no. Enke betumi anka ye nkapo say oh ye mpaye ne what is the word I want to use? Mo shedding. Ne nyina ye but say betumi abo mo din pa say be try say niam ati san nsi kwa no kwaka chu be so ye mpaye ne ye condolence are with you. It's hard. I mean, I've experienced it before. For you to experience a family member who has been shot, honestly, that is painful. So we are praying that the powers that be will take all these messages that are going around and do something. I wish and I pray that what happened in Texas will be the last time we are hearing of any of these things. And I pray God will help us. All right. I am back on the series that I began. Of course, it's very difficult hosting some of these programs in the midst of such pain, and I can identify with our CEO, Dr. Ostus, who's also lost a brother, and I'm sure they are beginning for the preparing for the burial ceremony soon. So, Dr. Ostus, our condolences are with you. It's painful, but then we are praying that God will comfort you. All right, so tonight I'm looking at being intentional about your growth. We have to make an intentional effort to grow. And that I don't mean your height or your girth or your stomach size or whatever it is. Growing career-wise and going forward in life, that you can say, oh, I did better this year than last year. I'm going forward. And of course, I'm doing the book review, the book written by Dr. John Maxwell, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. So we've been looking at awareness. And awareness, as I have stated earlier on, it just makes you come to a point where you know who you are. What do you want to do? You know who you are. You look at your strengths, your abilities, what you can do, and the things you cannot do. You look at yourself. You become aware of your own personal strength, your environment, what you can do, what things, skills are available unto you. These are the things we're talking about, because much as we want to pray and do everything, there are some things that God is also dependent on us to do ourselves. It's not always that you're going to say, God, give me this. God doesn't have to come from heaven and tell you that tomorrow morning go and eat breakfast or bacon and cheese or whatever. He's given us enough wisdom to do it. There are some things that we have to do. When we lack the strength we need, then God comes in. But then sometimes we leave everything, say God is going to do everything. That is what we discuss, and that you have a part to play. And that is being aware of your strength, your capabilities, what you can do. And so that is what we're discussing. All right. So when you take a topic like awareness, what do you actually want to do in life? These are some of the questions that Dr. Maxwell will ask us. What do you want to do? And if you look at yourself, what are the talents and the skills, the opportunities that you possess that will support your desire to do it? If you want to be a dressmaker, you want to be a mechanical engineer, whatever it is, what are the qualities you have that you can do them? And what are your motives? Sometimes people desire to do some things that are out of work. I mean, realize that the thing you're going to do it's not even legit. I mean, if someone's, oh, I want to go and steal my neighbor's car or something, that is not a good, desirable thing. We're talking about positive things in life. And what steps do you need to take? Beginning from today, assuming you put down your goals or your something you want to achieve for the year, you have your resolutions written down and you haven't even started. Beginning from today, what are the steps you're going to take to get to that point, that target you want to reach or that destination? So to do this, you have to know, you have to be aware. That's where the awareness comes in. And you have to be able to follow, do something that you want to do. That is action and accountability. And last week, I even made an example of our, leaders and politicians taking action on what is going on. Now, the big thing that is staring us in the face is, what do we do about these guns and that are parading in our system? Any 18-year-old guy can just lay hand on it. Because somebody says, oh, when I get to my 18th birthday, I am legit to buy a gun. And so what are we doing? What are the laws we're going to enact to make sure it is not every Dick, Tom, and Harry that can lay, hands on goods? Of course, the gun owners or the gun shops, they are selling to make money. Because if a gun owner goes to his shop to open that morning, what he's praying for is what? That people will come and buy my guns. So if you come and you tell me I'm 18 years old, I don't have any criminal record, of course, he's obliged to sell it to you. But what are we doing to prevent that? It's just like people who, sell coffins. It's the same thing. Obi oton fun adaka bia na osra na pa ne mpa yan se ruade mo bin wu na omo beto adaka mesuminya bibi ndidi. That is whatever you do, that's what you canvas for. So the gun owner is advocating that people will come and buy guns, but are we doing it in the right way? And so when our leaders take action, that, okay, these are the steps we're going to take. We're going to curtail this. We want to make sure we do extensive background check, or even left the 18 year to 21 or something. I would have even gone for 30 years. I mean, 18-year-old guy, what do you need a gun for? And then accountability. We have to hold our leaders accountable. And when they do that, when we hold them accountable and they're able to follow through their action, then they become attractive. When they become attractive, it is when it's time for us to go and vote. We don't look left, we don't look right. We just look at their resume and say, yes, you said you're going to do this when you were campaigning and you held on to your word. You are accountable. Your deeds were attractive. So I'm going to give you my vote. Otherwise, then what are we doing? The other point is that whose advice are you going to listen to on your journey? Who is your mentor? Last week, I spent a few times talking about a mentor and a mentee. Who are you going to listen to? The thing the adventure you want to take, the business you want to start, whatever you want to do, the vocation you want to do. Who are you talking to? Who are those advising you? It is incumbent upon us. All of us need mentors. And I did mention that even the president needs a mentor. And I made an example as a president. If you have some of the former presidents that you can trust and believe in to be your mentors, that is good, because the journey that you are trekking or traveling now, they have been there already. They have been there. When it comes to situations where you have to take major decisions, you have these past, present mentors that you can rely on. And what price are you willing to pay? What is the price you're willing to pay? What will it cost you in time, resources, and sacrifices? Sometimes what you want to achieve might not be in the state you live in. It might not be in the city you live in. And it behoves you to maybe make a trip, travel or something. Sometimes it means leaving your family behind. Those are temporary sacrifices you have to do. Are you willing to go the extra mile? Are you ready to use all the resources you have to be able to achieve and acquire what you want to achieve? And then there's this point that, where do you think you need to grow? Of course, we know yourself. You know yourself. You know where you need to grow. You know where you need to cut something up, where you have to measure something the right way and grow accordingly. And I did mention about the SWOT analysis. Those SWOT analysis can be used in every venture of our life. It is the strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and the threats. Whatever you do in this life, it comes back, it circles around SWOT analysis. Know the strength that you have. As a believer, you have the Holy Spirit in you. You can tap on the Holy Spirit to give you strength. Because the Bible says that God did not give us the spirit of fear, but our sound mind, not of timidity. So you have your inner strength, you have your talents and your capabilities. There are some things that you can eat bags of gari or rice. You can't do them. So you have to know what you are good at. I mean, if you ask me to sing professionally, I will goof. I can't do that very well. I lost it years ago. But somebody can just get up and sing alto, tenor, soprano, whatever. They can sing easily. You have to know what you are good at. Somebody can say, writing maybe a poem is a very difficult thing. If I listen to good inspirational music and the Spirit dawns upon me, I can sit down and write a very good poem. So you have to know your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. It's very important. As we grow, we have to know them. So tonight I'm zeroing in on the law of the mirror. The law of the mirror. What is the mirror? The mirror is something you look in to see your image. And I did say that a life that is not worth examining is not worth living. If you don't examine your life day by day, week by week, month by month, quarter by quarter, year by year, then you are not growing. You have to, every year you have to add some value to yourself. You don't want to go back like you did last year or 2 years ago. You have to keep evolving and moving. I think life is like a graph where you keep increasing until you get to a plateau where you can't grow anymore. When you get to some old age, like the 70s and even 80s, even there, people are not limited by their age. You can do more. And so we have to take some of these things into consideration. All right, let me see if I can promote my sister's program. And those of you who are missing and not watching the Real Common Kitchen, they are amazing ladies, and you want to listen to them every now and then. Let me take a clip real quick.
They are four women. They are beautiful with brains. They are eloquent, decent, wise, and experienced. You have heard many, the funny. Now, it's time to hear the experience and the brainy. Meet Selena, Dorcas, Gifty, and Annette as they present the real in common getting. In common biaye sesi chain, the dead, as in takrenu assume the dead, the real in common getting. Showing live this and every Sunday, 7 p.m. on Era One Radio on Facebook and on YouTube, Era One Radio and on Taibo channel. Kaise, so we see the real in common getting ya. What brabon tete, we nyan konkonsa, we the real in common getting.
All right, so the ladies are telling us this is not a concern, this is not gossiping, it is the real and common getting where they meet to, delve into, daily lives, what happens around us, and how as married women, they can spice their marriages, and those of us listening do enjoy their conversation. So I entreat you, I urge you to be by your set, Era One Radio, Facebook and YouTube, and catch the ladies every Sunday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. All right, continuing. If you just join us, this is the Era One Radio. I am broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube and also on Modern Ghana Radio. And tonight, in the absence of my panelists, I'm filling in with being intentional about your personal growth. And tonight, I'm looking at the law of the mirror. Look at yourself in the mirror. Who do you see? Do you want to change the person in the mirror? Do you want to maintain who you are in the mirror? Do you like your status quo? Or you want to improve and go beyond yourself? So God endowed each of us potentially with all that we would need to grow to our design goal. Unfortunately, that hardly happens to most of us. It doesn't happen. We have all the potentials, just like a plant. You put just a seed in the soil. The seed has all the potential to become a tree, but it needs all the nutrients on the qualities of sunshine, everything to grow very well. And so we need all this environmental factors to grow. But then the seed in itself is a potential tree. You see the corn is a potential grain or whatever it is, maize. But then unless you put in the right environment, it will never reach its goal or target. And so this is one of the areas that Dr. Maxwell mentioned in his book. One area he mentions low self-esteem. This is something that many people suffer from. I have been there before. I know what it means. I know what it feels like. And so, people possess 100 acres of possibilities. People possess hundreds of acres of possibilities, yet never be able to cultivate them because they are not convinced that they can grow and blossom into something wonderful. And somebody says that when you go to the cemeteries, that is where you see all these talents and gifts and everything buried in the soil. And so whilst you're alive, you have to tap your potential, know what your potentials are, know your giftings, and do not look down on it, because the Bible says, do not look down on your own gifts. Do not despise your early beginnings. And of course, if you don't know your beginnings, then you're going to despise it. We have to make sure we are taking away low self-esteem in our life. And when you look in the mirror, that is the person you see is the person that is standing there. And the question is, do you like what you are seeing, or do you want to change it? These days, I believe most ladies look at the mirror, they look at their eyelashes and say, you know what, I want more, so let me extend it. Men, we do this, we want to do more of this. We are all looking in the mirror every day. You comb your hair and you realize that the hair is falling. What are you going to do? So when you looking at the mirror, Dr. Maxwell gave a very example of a lady by the name Jonetta McSwain. This lady was abandoned by her own mom at the age of 5. She realized that, life wasn't treating her. Even at the age of 5, she was abandoned. She went through a very rough beginning. She was abused by her own family members. She dropped out of school, and she had a child out of wedlock. She went through stuff. And at age 30, although she's been looking into the mirror every day, this time she took a critical look in the mirror, and she didn't like who she saw in the mirror. She didn't like what she saw, so she decided that she would do something about it. She had nothing to celebrate, no money, no full-time job, no home, no husband, and no clue what she wanted to do. But she knew it was time to do some changes in her life enact some changes. So she enrolled in what you call the Kennesaw State University. And the long and short story of this is that she realized that she had to change the person that she saw in the mirror. And that could only be done with what? Determination. So her consolation was this: I get a chance to be anyone I want to be. So when she looked in the mirror, she said, I have the opportunity, I get a chance every day to be what I want to be. And so that brings me to my next point, the power of positive esteem. This positive esteem is totally different from being proud or arrogant. You know, there are some people who, by virtue of what they have, of course, you have to know your giftings, your talents, your bank account, whatever. And sometimes people take it to the extreme and are arrogant and they look down upon. But this is different. This is not positive. This is not self-esteem. Self-esteem is just knowing what you have, recognizing what you have, and know that, hey, I can use what I have to become what I want to be, without stepping on toes or without shrugging your shoulders and letting people know that you have arrived. And so in this lady's story, it is recognizing what could happen to her or all of us when we add value to our life. Sometimes you have to add value to you have to, inflate your life, to use, the word loosely. You have to motivate yourself, add value to your life. And if you want to add value to even your family or children, it begins by you adding value to yourself. You might have heard this story already, like when you board a plane and the air hostess is, taking us through the drills of all the safety. Sometimes for those of us who have been in planes for several times because of, I would say, deployment or work status, I mean, we get so used to that sometimes you take it for granted. And sometimes when the ladies or the men are running through this safety hazard, oh, I know this is not ready. But then something can happen and realize after all, not know you didn't know it. And so when you board a plane, they tell you, okay, are you cool? Or if your ticket finds you sitting by the exit, they will come to you and say, hey, are you comfortable sitting by the exit? Because if something happens, you are the ones supposed to be helping people. And so they tell you in this drill that you have to be able to put on your mask, everything first, breathing mask if something happens, before you help others. Before you can add value to somebody else, you have to add value yourself. Because if you hate yourself, guess what? You can hardly add value to other people. So you have to come to a point where, speaking from the terms of awareness, you have to like yourself. Sometimes it's difficult to. All of us want to get something that we don't have. Oh, let me grow 2 more inches. Let me get a bigger head. Let me get a slimmer stomach, from 1 pack to maybe 3 pack, and then you work it from there. I want to get a 6 pack, and you can take off your t-shirts or whatever and just show the ladies, hey, I got 6 packs, You have to work on yourself and you have to like yourself. That doesn't mean it's complacency. You just enjoy what you are. You always want to aspire to go forward and to go higher. And so you don't hate yourself, you like yourself, but then you become aware of what you have and what you intend to be and work towards it. So Dr. Maxwell says this: self-esteem is the most single significant key to a person's behavior. We can do very few things in a positive way if we feel negative about ourselves. And this is quoting Zig Ziglar, one of those positive mental people. If you really want to go ahead, then sometimes you have to ignore your present situation and begin to speak positive things about yourself. You have to. You literally have to do it. David was in the same boat. After his camp had been invaded of their wives and their food and everything, he was so demoralized and so sad. And the people who were supposed to motivate him and encourage him, they themselves, they were demoralized. So they wouldn't even come to David and say, hey, boy, you can do it. And so what did David do? Bible says David encouraged himself in the Lord. That's in the book of Samuel. He encouraged himself in the Lord and finally found his voice and said, Lord, do I pursue these guys to go and catch them and claim all the things they've claimed? And yes, and he had a wavelength with God. And God said, boy, yes, I'm with you. Go. And so David did. After encouraging himself, he pursued those people, he overtook them, conquered them, and grabbed the woman and everything that had been taken from him. So sometimes you have to encourage yourself. It's difficult. It's hard. And we find it easy to console people, but when it happens to you, you know that this is not easy. I can just imagine today how these mothers and fathers are burying their 10-year-olds, their 9-year-olds that were gunned down in this Texas school shooting. It's very, disheartening. But I pray that God Himself will comfort them. All right, so low self-esteem puts a ceiling on your potential. If you have a low self-esteem, your ability to go up is very minimal. For example, if you have a big desire, but then your self-esteem is very low, 8 out of 10 you will fail. You will fail because if your desire is 10, but your self-esteem is only 5, you will never perform at 10. And so Dr. Maxwell quotes, he said, people are never able to outperform their self-image. There's no way you can go past your self-image. It is what you have put there that is going to rise up to. So if you desire to be a 10, but then your self-image is only 5, you have a long way to go. You have to work on yourself. The value we place on ourselves is usually the value others place on us. That is profound. The value we place on ourselves is usually the value others place on us. If you don't respect yourself, that's how people are going to look at you. And so when you do this to yourself and others are doing it to you, how do you feel? For instance, when you look at the black neighborhood, most of them are very, it's their culture, is their term. They can call themselves the N-word, which to them is acceptable. But if a different race call them that same thing, hell breaks loose. So we have to, if we don't want it, then let's not even call ourselves. Because the value you place on yourself, that is how people look at you. People are not going to respect you more than how you see yourself. If you don't place value on you, people are not going to. Now, when you mention a name like Bill Gates, he got respect because of what? He got money. He put value on himself. With all this Microsoft that he has played or continues to play his role in this world. He plays value on himself, so people respect him. I mean, even if you don't respect the guy for who he is, just because of his pocket, you don't have a choice. You will respect him. So most people believe that if others think they won't go anywhere, that is what they believe. If somebody comes to you and says, oh, you won't amount to anything unless you are very strong or you have a parent who can stand in and say, you know what, you said this about my child. No, it's not going to happen. I resist it. Yeah, the other day I was just saying something in a joking manner, and yeah, my wife corrected me. So we have to, the things that we confess. That is why I believe that no matter how a child behaves academically or socially or whatever, never write off any child. You never know what a child is going to be. You might have 4 or 5 children. You think, oh, this one is going to be the best, so the rest, nothing. Of course, Jacob, I look at the story of Jacob and I'm amazed that this man placed so much emphasis on Joseph. I don't know how, he saw Joseph, but because of the dreams that this boy had, Jacob placed so much emphasis on him, and also because he was a child of the woman he loved so much, Rachel. But coincidentally, happens that the child that he loved so much was the one that became the prime minister and saved the family. So it's the value we put on people, that is how they move on to. All right, let me take a quick ad, and then we'll come back to what I started. All right, so for every Saturday from 6 to 9, Dr. Austin holds this program called the Kitike program, Chukwuchaka. That is a program that he interviews body musicians. If you're a body musician, you have the gift, the knack to sing, to produce music, and you want some form of publicity or to outdoor your voice or whatever God has given you, get in touch, call the studio 240-280-2633 and talk to Dr. Austin. He will interview you, and whatever God has given you that is in the box, he will help you to bring it out. All right, so tonight, again, in the absence of my panelists, I am broadcasting live from Facebook and YouTube, and I'm discussing the topic, being intentional about your personal growth, and I'm looking at how you yourself, you can grow, how you can add value to yourself by looking into the mirror, finding out who you are, discovering who you are and what you can do to change your lifestyle. It's very imperative because most of the things that we yearn and crave for, begins with us. If only we will make the attempt to grow ourselves, we will have things coming our way the way we want it to be. All right, let's take a quick music.
Hallelujah.
Welcome back. You're still with us on Era One Radio, broadcasting live from Facebook and YouTube. You can get in touch with us by texting 510-931-0946. Era One is a 24/7 radio program, and we are 24/7 says every minute of the day there is something going on, and our mission is to inform, to educate, and to entertain you. Tonight, speaking or discussing being intentional about your personal growth. If you made resolutions at the beginning of this year and you haven't reached anywhere, it's time to go back to visit your drawing board and see where you are. All right, I have a few minutes more to click on to get to the hour, and I'm going to be ending with the steps that we need to build our self-esteem or self-image. Because if you lose your self-image or your self-esteem, you have already lost the battle. You haven't even started. Because when people are starting, you have already lost because you don't even have any esteem for yourself. You have no value for yourself. And if you have no value, then you haven't even started this battle. All right. So if you live in an environment where there are lots of naysayers, then you have to motivate yourself. If whatever you do or say, you are having negative thoughts and everything, you have to be your own motivator. Like I said earlier on, David was looking for people, his followers, to encourage and exhort him and do all that. He didn't get it. So he had to encourage himself and move on. How do you build your self-image? And I love the way Dr. John Maxwell puts it. You have to guard your self-talk. Remember, this is everything is self. It's not that you are not being selfish. You are building yourself. You are upgrading yourself so you can upgrade somebody. Because if you don't have value for yourself, you cannot build your family or anyone around you. And even as leaders, that is what leaders need. They have to build themselves in their closet and come out and lead, because leadership is all about what? Influencing people to do what you want them to do to meet a specific target. So if you run your mouth negatively, there are some people, when you meet them the first 3 minutes, you can tell that these are negative people. They soliloquize, they criticize everything they say, even in their own closet, they are condemning themselves. No, it is not possible. I can't do it. I can't get it. And sometimes we find ourselves in the same place. You're applying for a job and you look at the job description, all the requirements, and you say to yourself, this one, I cannot get it. And my wife told me a story about a lady that she used to work with, and this lady was applying for a job, and she said the job description was above her. And I remember my wife said she encouraged her, hey, forget about the description. Go and put in your resume and apply. And guess who was selected? She was. So sometimes you have to encourage yourself and trust that even if the external look odd, the chances are slim, you can still make it. And then the other thing, we have to stop comparing yourself to others. Because anytime you do that, anytime you compare yourself to great or better achievers, you look inferior. For instance, if I'm going to run with Usain Bolt, already there's a psychological problem. This guy has made records. So already, even before I even think about standing in the tracks with him, I know the guy is beating me already. So that mentality is even defeatist mentality. I'm not even going to think about it, But what if I decide, okay, this guy, assuming we're all the same age right now, I can't do it. But assuming you were Usain Bolt's age, you have the same, stamina and everything, and you're going to say, oh, just because he set a world record and he's beating everybody, then you're already inferior. Some things are difficult to attain, but then you have to make up. If you compare yourself to people like that, then you're always going to be inferior. So find out what you are better at or what you do well. Because if you say, okay, I can't beat Usain Bolt, but maybe I'm a ping pong player, I'm a basketball player. For instance, let's say LeBron James meets Usain Bolt. Both of them are celebrities. Maybe LeBron cannot beat Usain in 100 meters or 200 meters. Same way, Usain Bolt cannot throw any basket. He can't shoot even a single hoops. But I'm just saying that. I'm not saying he doesn't know how to, but I'm just saying on a comparative basis that they are two different people, two different talented people. This one has this one has this. And when they come together, each of them is a celebrity. So if LeBron says, I'm going to compare myself to Usain Bolt, no, it's not going to work. He can run as far as the court and shoot. And Usain Bolt he doesn't want to play the ball. He wants to run. He like running around the block. So all his life he's been running. Even when nobody's chasing him, Americano to Ubi Antano Crane, Udemicas or Janisa, the Piano Demica. No wonder. No wonder. And then the other things that we have to move beyond our limiting beliefs. There are some beliefs we have put on ourselves that we think, oh, as for these beliefs, I've held on for the longest time in my life. I cannot go beyond them, and so it's still stuck with me. When man has put a limit on what he would do, he has put limit on what he can do. That's what Charles Schwab says. Already you put a limit on yourself. So as for this place, somebody can say, oh, as for my family, nobody attained, a high school diploma. And so no matter what I do, I'm not going to be able to go there. On my mother's side, I was the only child. And I could have said, okay, there's nobody for me to look at. But I said to myself, you know what? I am going to the highest. After getting high school, I said, okay, let me go to, college and whatever. After going to college, let me finish my first degree. Let me get my master's degree. I said, you know what? I think I can get a doctorate. Why can't I? Who is limiting me? I'm the only child that came from that womb. Whatever the others couldn't come and do, let me do everything. So I did everything. Let me go ahead and do everything. And it feels good. Oh yeah, they call you doctor. That's good. But take off any limiting beliefs. Whatever you think your family couldn't achieve, don't say, oh, because they couldn't do it, so you're going to put that limit on you. Break that limitation. Yes, after all, you are the only person who maybe finished college. That doesn't mean, okay, now you can't go any further. Some will say, oh, as far as in our family, we marry and only 3 years, we divorce and we break or something happens. In your mind, you're going to go beyond it. Of course, there are a few things you have to do to make sure that happens. But you cannot say, oh, as I'm not going to do it. When I obtained my PhD, I say, you know what, if I have, as an immigrant, I've been able to do that, and my children who are born here, they have no excuse. That should come easier to them if they want to do it. But we have to take off all limitations from us and go for the best. And how are you going to go beyond your limits or the beliefs that you have? First, you have to identify the beliefs that are limiting you, because if you don't know, ignorance, they say, is no excuse. But then if you don't know it, you're not going to say, just because I don't know it, I have an excuse. You have to identify whatever beliefs are holding you back. Your family tree should not limit you. What your dad couldn't do shouldn't limit you. Somebody will say, oh, my family, we have diabetes. That is your belief. But then do you know that you can change your lifestyle? The genes are there, but you can prevent it from expressing themselves. Somebody said genes are like, I don't even want to use this example of a pistol or a gun, but that's what it is. The genes are like having ammunitions in a gun. As long as nobody presses the trigger, it still remains there. So the genes are there. You can do something about it. If you want to feed it to come up, then you can do it. But if you say, okay, I have the genes, but I'm going to change it by my lifestyle, maybe eating well, henceforth, exercising, doing this, then you are changing the situation. You are taking all the limiting factors. And when you do that, you've been able to identify what limits you, and then you find a solution to it. And of course, when in doubt, always use what? SWOT, your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. These will always help you. Even in the Christendom, even in our faith, it is what it is. Decide how it affects you and how you can change it. If something is bothering you too much, then you have to find a solution. We all have issues that bother us that you wish you could find a solution in a heartbeat. Decide on what affects you. If it doesn't bother, because if something doesn't bother you, then you wouldn't even look for a solution. If it's bothering you that much, then you will look for a solution. And I believe somebody like Paul said, 7 times, 10 times, I asked the Lord to take this away. But on every occasion, the Lord said, my strength is enough for you. If that thing is bothering you so much, find a way to eradicate it so you can build your self-image. The other thing is to add value to others. This is a psychological issue now, because by esteeming other people and encouraging others, you add value to yourself. How are you going to encourage somebody and come back and cry? Somebody failed an exam and you were the one encouraging the person. Oh, it's going to be okay. Go at it again. People have failed exams several times. Encourage them. Oh, you can do it. Just look for a different approach. Whatever made you not pass, move away and go for another strategy. You will exhort them, you will encourage them. And when you do this, there's no way you are going to come home and sit in your corner and cry over something that maybe same thing happened. If you are able to encourage somebody, then you can do it. Add value to other people, and in so doing, you are adding value to yourself. It's hard to feel bad about yourself when you are doing something good for someone else. Because if you are giving people, you are blessing people with money, there's no way you're going to cry, because Bible says it's more blessed to give than to receive. When there is joy in helping out if you have it. And do the right thing, even if it's hard to do. And I always take this at the traffic light. Sometimes we are so much in a hurry, we get to the yellow light and we want to just cross before the red comes. And sometimes the yellow is so short, as soon as you see it, the green is coming. You have to do the right thing. And so in the midst of the night when the cops are not watching, and you get to a red light, you just cross because nobody's watching, or you're going to say, you know what, I'm a good citizen. Whether there's a cop around or there's somebody watching me, I will still abide by the rule. When you do stuff like that, even in your workplace, the same thing shows. The same thing. I mean, nobody's watching you, but you want to do the right thing. You're not going to steal stuff. You're not going to pilfer and do all that because nobody's watching you. But you know inside that is the right thing to do. I am not going to steal. I'm going to make sure this work progresses and we all enjoy. Practice small discipline daily in a specific area of your life. I'm working on my timing. I want to make sure I am punctual to the place I want to be. And so I'm setting up goals. I'm saying to myself, you know what? 10 minutes to when you want to get ready, start doing it. Practice something every day. If you are somebody who curses a lot, there are some people when you sit around them, your ears will be blowing all the time. They will say all the F words, the S word. I mean, it's their daily thing. It's like they are drinking water. I mean, every syllable that comes from their mouth has an F or S word. I mean, I say, how do you live your life that way? They are used to it. And so if you want to change your habit, begin practicing that, you know what, today I'm going to curse less. I'm going to curse only 3 words. And that's it. When I reach my limits, I'm not going to do any more. And by the time you know, you've reduced your 3 to 1 and you don't even curse anymore. I mean, I can't even imagine myself blowing the F words and S. I mean, I feel so bad. And so I wouldn't let it come out of me. And then celebrate small victories. Every little achievement you make in your life, celebrate yourself. Treat yourself nicely. Oh, today I was able to stay away from the cigarette. Normally I smoke 1 pack of cigarette. Today I did maybe 10 out of, I don't even know how many cigarettes are in a pack, whether it's 20 or I don't know, unless I Google. But if you smoke 20 cigarettes in a pack a day, and let's say today, so what, you know what, I'm going to reduce it. I'm going to do only 10. Next week, I'll go to 5. The following week, I'll do only 2. And then I'll zero into 1. And then kaput, mejai kra. Celebrate small victories. When you're able to do it, pat yourself on the back. Yes, I've come from 20 cigarettes to 10 or 15. Or maybe I used to drink a whole bottle of, a pure wine, in a day. I'm going to only drink half and be sober. And then maybe go to a quarter. And then by the time if it's part of your resolution for the year, I am going to stop drinking by the end of year 2022. By November 1st, you are done. You are sober. You don't have any withdrawal syndrome. You can say, yes, I decided to do it. And that is how we celebrate small victories. So every little thing you do, don't say, oh, it is too small. Or maybe you want to lose 10 pounds of weight, in 1 year. So far, you have been visiting the gym virtually. All you do is just go online and you watch the gym, how people are exercising and say, oh, one leg. People are actually celebrating and losing weight. And then one day you decide to show up at the gym. Wouldn't that be exciting? So you say, okay, I'm going to lose weight, but then I'll do it virtually. It's not working. Step out, do some walking, go to the gym. And that's how you work. I mean, it works. And then when you're able to lose 1 out of the 10, you celebrate. That doesn't mean go and eat again, but then just pat yourself. Yes, I can do it. If I'm able to lose 1, I can do 2. That is how stuff happens. Well, my time is up and I may have to sign off before Dr. Ostus hits my head. So thank you for being my company tonight. If you don't have the Era One Radio app, please go to Play Store or Google app and just install the app on your phone. Anytime Era One is vibing, which is 24/7, you are notified. You can enjoy our programs. Go to Era One Radio on Facebook and Era One TV station on YouTube and download the app. I mean, you can watch all the clips that we've done previously since we started about a year, going to 2 years ago. All the programs are there. There are so many topics. Just click on them, and enjoy all the advice that we've been able to keep free of charge. So until I come your way again, Thursday, I'm having Pastor Con is coming back, and we have an additional guest. So Thursday is going to be fireworks. Don't miss. Make a date with us from 6 to 7, and stay blessed, and make sure you are working on yourself. You are looking into the mirror, and discovering who you are over and over again, and finding out how you can change the person in the mirror for the best. Enjoy and have a good evening. All right, I'll see you again next Thursday. All right, bye-bye.
Sunny wechi, why? Ajenya me aya grado. Foni ejale wa sunny wechi bro. Meni aba. Ukomo nyina iro minya. Boni edisama. Oh, you